Alright, hey everyone! Welcome to another Witch RP Live Play TTRPG session. What is Witch? We're a couple who love sharing stories. It's me, Faye, and Lachlan. We love sharing stories so much that we quit our day jobs and created our own company to create high quality, exciting TTRPG experiences full time and share them with you. And tonight we're playing Starfinder. I will leave all the details of the game to Sekrain, of course, but before we get to that, we do have at our table not just myself and our players, but we also have Sirenscape, bringing all of our background music and sound effects. You can find out more about them, their fantastic affordable sound collection, at their website, sirenscape.com. Foundry provides our map and dice rolling, as you can see them on our screen as well. And then, of course, all of our character art has been done by OnSword Digital over on Instagram. You can check them out there. But that's it for what I have to do. So, Sekrain, over to you.
Thank you, and welcome to Homeward. This actual live play Starfinder game. Let's do a quick recap of what has been the story so far. Our band of misfits went on to explore an asteroid where there was this abandoned outpost, trying to recover resources, figure out what is happening, if they could find more information, why this is abandoned, and maybe some further information of the location, about their situation, etc. After wandering in what seemed to be a quickly abandoned and somewhat scavenge mining operation, they awoke a pair of junk golems, proceed to make them trash, and then explore more into the installations inside the asteroid, finding information related to the occupants before this, apparently the year that this was abandoned, and the time frame that some scavengers of unknown allegiance went here and recovered some resources before leaving again. And with that in mind, and seeing that the resources in here could be useful, they took the Wanderer 2 back to the Dralark. One of them informed the bridge about their findings, and let the bridge and the ship know that they should head to the asteroid and try to do a quick 12-hour operation in there to recover some resources and get some repairs done on the ship before heading out. In the meantime, Nulodius went quickly to the bridge to just give some information before going to, was it the greenhouse or the science and arcane division, or you went to your quarters?
It was the Science and Arcane Division.
Science arcane division, okay. Yeah. And Nulodius and not Nulodius, sorry, my bad. Amos and S decided to go for a drink. So let's start with that part of Amos and S going for a drink. From what I remember talking a bit, there was going to be just Amos and S drink in silence. No exchange of words. End of story, right?
I mean,
That's
that sounds about right.
pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
it's exchange of drink, cigarettes,
S is not really in
just
a...
together.
Yeah, S isn't really in a I need to talk, and it's just... He said he'd get a drink. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, so you get the drink, and that's it for you two. You just get your drink, go to your rooms. We move to Nolodis. As you are, you get to the arcanes and the science and arcane division, and you see some people, the usual, working around here and there. Some talking about getting equipment functional, some talking about research that they are recovering and probably retaking, some talking about their experiences still through their activities trying to figure out who they were, who they are now. And among all of them, you see the officer in charge of this section. You see Eluria just going around. Seems to be compiling some information before going to what you have after some days figure out might be her office. That is this cubicle. Thank you. With clear glass door and large windows that let you see inside, where you can see there's this digital boards. I was gonna say digital whiteboards, but that would be contradictory. Digital boards that she has some information receiving, and you can see that as you arrive, there's an holographic display of where Addie is, apparently talking something to her before vanishing out of the screen and going away to something else. And she sits down and drinks from a mug and continues working on whatever she was doing.
Okay. If it doesn't look like she's like deeply engrossed in something, Null's gonna go try to talk to her because she was pretty mad at me last time we talked for not checking in with what's going on over here. So I'm gonna go do that.
Okay, you see that she's at this moment sitting down, and it's like in that process of the first 5-10 minutes of sitting down back in your desk, of being like, I have all these papers here and all this work here. Where do I start? And just like, not really starting to do something and just processing what will be your life in the next hours.
Right. So he's knock knock. Hello. Good to see you too. After just got back from the away mission, and I know I haven't been as around here as I would like to. So I wanted to see how things are going, if there was anything that needed my personal attention, or if anything I could help out with. Things are handled sort of on the logistical side at the moment. And then I was hoping to get your opinion on something as well. Is now a good time? Should I?
She adjusts her glasses, sits upward. Well, you took me right in the moment before I was starting to get busy, so I guess I can lose a couple of minutes with you. So tell me, let me see. The division is working fine at the moment. We are having the situation as usual that seems to just be happening in all the decks of the ship. Part of that, yes, there's a few things that could require your attention and your confirmation and opinion, your professional opinion. But probably you will require to check that on your computer room. Not that I do not think you're capable of checking it while you're standing on my door. It's just there's a lot of files. And it would be better if you check it out.
Right.
And once you check that, you can come back to me because there's things to check, things to talk and coordinate. And I would prefer for you to be as informed as possible before taking our next steps. I guess together. Now, on the other topic, what did you require my personal opinion?
I'll certainly check that. Has there been any additional breakthrough with the sort of calcified remains of the first officer? You remember that, right, when we were looking at the bony guy I had at the time taken some shavings and planted some seeds in them. I haven't checked on them yet, but any further any indications with that from a scientific perspective?
From a scientific perspective, well, after we got thrown around with the um, body in study,
Mm-hmm.
um, well, I took a look at it, and I assigned some individuals to work on it, as we were not sure where they actually were working, so just put them something to do, and they couldn't find much. Anatomically speaking, we also shared information with the medical facilities to see what we could find. Indeed, it seemed to be human. It seemed to, well, as human as that can be. It seemed to be quite transformed. And I think it's not scientific, but more arcane, the effect on it. I run some extra scans on it, some um, arcane scrying on it, if you might call it. And it was present, though quite dim at the moment, but there was some presence of necromancy into it. The plant that you put in it, we separated it, we sent it to the team, and they say they found nothing in particular about it. Plants did not grow out of it, but they were not contaminated in a way that seemed to be problematic.
Gotcha. When it was sent over to medical, did they happen to run x-rays on it? Or anything of the sort?
Yes, yes. There were run X-rays. We run some uh,
CAT scan, MRI.
um, what would be the equivalent of, like, not the
Are
brain,
you
but
looking at tissue or are you looking at bone?
Bone.
tissue?
Tissue is more of like your CT.
Thank you. Yes, there was a CT done on it. There was X-ray studies into it, and actually, she moves her arm up, and again, this, like, kind of green electrical digital um kind of user interface appears across her arm and into her palm, and you see that there's some files coming in, and with just a couple of movements of her fingers and just pressing of her the other arm in it, their hand on it, um, suddenly on the screen behind her on the um, whiteboard, uh, there are the images taken of the studies. The X-rays, it definitely looks like there's somewhat of a skeleton inside, but there's also, it shows that a lot of the actual body become, well, what it was kind of imagined before, kind of bonified into it, calcified. But the density of it looks way almost like armored rather than just bone.
Hmm.
Hardened to the point that there's various points that would be kind of or around the vital zones that even in the scans are specified. You can see how they're separate. That there are zones that they needed extra analysis to get through it because it would just block it of how dense the structure it is, protecting the chest, protecting a bit of the skull.
Interesting. Okay.
And for the tissue, well, it is as, well, not precisely a surprise that it was dead. unfortunately, and nothing was moving around. But it indicated that it had been dead for many years, which, I do not believe we had been just catatonic and memoryless for years. I believe that probably whatever happened occurred in mere moments. So this thing, whatever happened to the first officer, not only made it just completely armor with its own bones, but it seemed to kill it and decompose it.
That was... So that was based on rate of deterioration. Have we done... I don't know if we possess the capability to do carbon dating, but is that a thing we can do to find out numerically how old this thing is?
Oh, you mean dating the atoms of it? Yes, we can do that. Oh, we tried. This thing supposedly, by the studies, say that it probably is. That's the funny thing. It just makes no sense. Between 100 and 250 years old, which I do not believe any human lives that long. And by the few pictures I have of our crew and the officers, it doesn't seem that the first officer was around that age. And if he was very, very well kept.
He looks great, yes. For a 200-year-old man, yes, certainly.
And not anymore.
Well, he's looked better, certainly. He's had better days. That's sort of... Tell me if I'm crazy. It has occurred to me that perhaps some of the inconsistencies we've been experiencing with sort of finding where we are in time and place might be more of a when we are. Do you know, and I'll go do some reading, has anyone ever accidentally time traveled?
Are you also pondering about this question?
Yes.
Okay.
It's something that I have been thinking about out of character. And I think at some point Null maybe, being a fiction writer, at some point would have been like, what are the odds that we're in the future now? Or like we're in our own past? And now knowing, so I was already thinking about that, but now knowing that this body is older than it should be, I'm suspicious.
I'm trying to think what would be appropriate. I think mysticism could be physical science. Culture could be too. Any of those, I think it would kind of vary what type of approach you want to give to this question.
Okay.
So the other thing I'm going to pose to you as a possibility is that we are living in a world in this game of magic. Who's to say that there isn't something magical that we just don't know about that can rapidly calcify a body?
I'd like
Well,
to
that's
pose that perhaps we could learn more just from the bones themselves, a slice of forensic anthropology, if you will.
Well, that was why I was curious about the carbon dating, because carbon dating wouldn't have anything to do with how fast something aged. Carbon dating has to do with the radioactive decay of elements, which should theoretically be consistent.
In a world without magic, I would agree. But in a world with magic and a touch of necromancy, who's to say that it wasn't sped up to the point where... it's just a thought.
Right.
We're taking our science with a grain of magic here, and I'm not sure I like it.
It does pose the possibility that if you did speed up the aging of something such that it looked older with carbon isotope dating, it would make it radioactive, which is something to think about.
And
Yeah, but
in
also,
reality, it's totally
what
possible.
if what if magic is also some sort of radiation?
See,
That's
I
I don't
personally
want to
just
think
don't
about
vibe with
radioactive
radiation.
magic, Sekrin.
I just don't vibe with radioactivity because if you touch a rock and you feel sick about it, that sounds like a skill issue.
Well, you also, again, we're talking about magic. We're talking about things that doesn't exist in our world as we know it.
Hmm. Well, I'll see where this roll gets me.
Yeah.
yeah. What is going to be the skill you're gonna roll for?
I'm gonna go with
gonna be
mysticism because that is
rocks.
my highest.
Mysticism. Okay. I
Well,
think she will
Can Ray
attempt
themselves
a.
make a rock check on the bones?
Let me see. Oh. Okay, you roll way better than her.
oh, did you get a 6? That's
It's.
cute.
I do know how much it would be added to that, but still, a 6 plus whatever, it's not going to be as much as that. As you make that, as you make that question, she just thinks, well, there's definitely a situation of certain types of travel that are not drift engine would make us be affected by time as we know at a different pace. But going back in time, I'm not truly. And as she's pondering that, with your knowledge and mysticism, you begin thinking that, there's a part of to some extent, traveling into the drift is kind of similar to planar travel, though the drift is kind of still in the material realm, and it's sort of a layer that through it you can access also other planes, and hence there's sometimes the situation that if there's a lot of drift travel through some areas, chunks of other planes will be dropped into the material plane. um, and thinking about it is also make you think that in other planes time works differently. um, there's some speculation that in the Fey realm, um, time will also shift depending on the domain of the Archfey, to the probability of if you return to the material plane, you could be months ahead. You could probably be back in time, not by far, but that is more of the whim of the plane itself. For a plane of order, that wouldn't be the case. That it is very strict on drift, going back and forward, what time you go back, what time you go in. It's more tied to the chaotic side of the planar cosmos. But in terms of magic that could help you on that side, I mean, you have heard speculations of possible magic that could stop or even slow or even stop time. There's the ideas of through very powerful focuses, foci, arcane foci, current focuses. You could enhance your ability to the point of um, some individuals having the capacity of altering reality, and not just in the way of casting evocation magic or things that producing something out of nowhere, but literally transforming it on a more fundamental level around them. But even among those, there's the idea of traversing through time. It's not easy, and at least by the understanding of today's good interaction understandings, it's not something that even with the most powerful magic can be done instantaneous. So you have heard of possible creatures that could, like, there's just a tingle in your brain of like, maybe like, there's a creature that maybe relate to time, but you're not it's just like a tingle, like,
Hmm.
You were so close for a fun revelation.
Okay. Do we sort of pulling back from that, and I'll dig more into that. Is exposure to this material that these bones became hazardous? As in, that's what killed him? Or was it. No, I don't really know how to word that actually. Is it harmful to.
Is it contagious? Like that thing is contagious? Are you asking that?
Sure, say I am.
Just for a moment, a slight squint on her eyes before. Well, after doing some studies in it, it doesn't seem to be. We check on the different beds and places we've been putting it to see if it leaves a linger in it, but doesn't seem to be. We tried with some other plant-like materials, and they don't seem to be affected in any way. At least the botanical team says that they did not get anything out of it. The plants did not grow just because there was no nutrients into it. It was akin to just planting the roots in ashes. Doesn't seem to be contagious in any way.
Player question. So there's necromancy in the body.
Very little.
Necromancy in Null. What if the necromancy parts are linked?
Stupid
Something
pigeons.
to think about.
Shoos a pigeon away from the office.
What if my bones look like that on the inside? Who's to say?
One way to find out.
One way to find out. Cut me up and I'll go
Theoretically, your
submit
bones
myself
are pink.
for x-rays.
Theoretically, your bones are pink.
I think we've had this conversation before.
We've definitely had the conversation of your bones aren't white.
Why would my bones be pink?
Because they make blood.
Actually, they're not pink either. Your blood is not red until it hits oxygen. Just saying.
You're right.
Anyway.
An x-ray wouldn't really show me what color they are. Okay, just how dense they are. Well, this has all been very enlightening. Thank you. I'm going to go check on the boring administrative stuff, and I will be around doing that. My job. He gets up and excuses himself without saying anything else.
She goes back to the papers, not expecting more words from your part.
Okay, and to Noel's credit, he is going to sit down and do the boring things that are on his docket of actually, being in charge of stuff.
Would Noel be doing that on their office, on their quarters?
Noel feels like the type of guy who can't focus on doing things he actually needs to do when he's around all of his stuff. So he's gonna work in his office, or he'll just sit down and read.
Yeah, you begin reading and checking some of these documents. It is about requisitions for materials to repair the mystic infuser inside the facilities. It is requisitions to get research equipment repaired or built. There's requisitions about reinstalling access for different people back into their post, or new people that are applying as some of the past staff were deceased. And as you're doing that, just the wave of tiredness and lethargy starts to hit on you as you had quite the exhaustive combat, and it has been quite a amount of hours that you've been awake.
Okay. Well, after he gets that all at least cleared away for the day, there's this silly little project that I want to embark on, that he probably wouldn't get started on right now, but I've been thinking about our fuel issue and how cool it would be if the ship ran on algae. Like if we could grow enough algae that it's I'm thinking of renewable energy sources for this fictional spaceship.
You just said something real cool and something I was like, whatever I'm doing is not important.
So he's just gonna make some notes about that. Maybe fill up a jar with water and start some algae growing in it. I think it would be cool if the what is it called? The digestion of algae could fuel this ship, or at least part of it. So we weren't so reliant upon finding planets where the stuff that we need is. So along with the square melons, this is another project he's going to start embarking on, and then he's going to go
It's an algae.
square melons and algae, two trick pony. He's going to wrap his stuff up. Could not say goodbye to Lyria, because she doesn't seem to like him very much, and head up to his quarters.
I don't think Illyria likes anybody.
Okay, perfect. So,
Could I do a little vignette for us?
Mhm.
Okay. So, S had his drink, as he said he would with Amos. One drink is what was promised. It wasn't hurried or anything like that, but it just what it was. And afterwards, S does return to their room instead of where they've been staying at these last few days. And it's dark. It's empty. And S thinks about his companions. Thinks about what they've said, what they've asked to him, of him, and he just sort of stares in the distance, replaying everything that he's heard and thought of, replaying the memories that have come back to him. Somewhere along the line, he does, as he replays those memories, gives in to the promise of at least trying to sleep.
as you're adjusting yourself and for a moment stopping before going back to the door and locking it again and just locking the different things that you have out there, so no one would have access, you go back into the room and kind of begin to relax and feel the heaviness as you are letting go everything, putting the weapons to the side, taking the jacket, taking the shoes, laying for a moment in the bed, thinking kind of like what would be a comfortable way to rest, because for the last times you have rested has been just on your clothes, weapon at the ready, and now he's just thinking, kind of fighting a bit the idea of doing that and trying to find being comfortable with yourself. And as you're doing that, you finally decide to maybe look into what seemed to be like this wardrobe section. And as you open it, you find some more comfortable clothes for you to rest in. And in general, you also find that the clothing you have, it's all leans toward the same idea of practicality, discreet colors, nothing too flamboyant, and very dull grays, browns, blacks, whites, etc. And yeah, you eventually go to rest, and for the night for you just goes uneventful.
That's what we want. Hell yeah.
I was really expecting Sakurine to turn around and just say something extraordinary happens to us and he doesn't sleep again.
Oh no, I was 100% as soon as it was like you get comfortable and all that stuff, and it's talking about sleep, and it's like, here's a nightmare for you, and I'm like, great. But no, if it's all unordinary, unextraordinary, and just plain night rest,
You don't
we're
even
good.
dream. Funny enough, you don't even dream.
I mean,
You're not sure if you dream or not, but
he's had memories while he's in an unconscious state. I think that's close enough.
I dreamt of a BIOS start menu.
following a bit that, for Amos and Kay, as you go to your respective rooms to find your rooms, there's a silence that kind of, with all that has been going, with all the hustling, with all the shouting, shooting, confronting each other, that silence is kind of welcoming, though at the same time sort of lonely for each one of you for different reasons. And I'm not sure if any of you would like to do something in particular, or just take your rest.
Well, actually, Mac is gonna start on the thing that I messaged you about, Sakurine.
You messing me a couple of things.
He's gonna start futzing with his armor.
Okay. Yeah, you begin futzing with your
see if
armor, and
he could do that thing that personally Scott's really excited about. Amos has no idea if it'll actually work.
yeah, you begin futzing with your armor, and for a moment you're thinking, I might need to go to the armor and requisition some stuff to maybe improve this, maybe go to the assembly. Yeah, you begin making a list of things that you require, and that mentality of getting something to be done and working on it kind of gets you relaxed to the point of forgetting other things until you look at the time, and some time has passed, and it's a bit later than normal, and you're like, okay, just a quick swig from the drink, and without taking off shoes, without taking the jacket, just plump.
He takes off the jacket, Sakurine. He's
Okay.
not a monster. He'll leave
Okay.
the shoes on, but he'll take off the jacket.
Not the sleep shoes.
The sleep shoes and the sleep jeans.
Oh.
Kay, when they go to their room, they work on one face of the cube.
I forgot that you were gifted a cube.
Yeah, I was gifted a cube. So I work on one face of the cube, and then put it in the fridge so it stays good and good. Kay talks with Squishy the entire time. She spends probably 2 hours working on this one face. It's extremely intricate, and while she's talking to Squishy, she takes little pauses to kind of like look over at this little thing and kind of smirk at it as she feeds it another scrap that she carves from this melon. And she talks about her stresses. And she kind of vents it out to Squishy. Everything that's happened, what's expected of her now, and thankfully Squishy doesn't talk, but it helps her relax so she can actually go to sleep.
There are moments that, as you're working, talking, you kind of zone out for a moment, and when you look back at your tools, you're not sure which tool might be Squishy, and you just grab the next one and keep talking until at some point a tool, instead of just cutting the way you were expecting, kind of forms like a bite and grabs a piece. And then you're like, oh, there's Squishy again, and just keep working. It moves around your arm or just stays for a moment, forms like a cube shape. It's just there listening to you.
Tries replicating the face of a cube.
In a way, sort of reacting. Yeah, there's also moments of stillness in it, of hard to describe it. It's like you're not sure if your pet is actually fully understanding you, or it's just like vibing, and it's like, I have no idea what this human is saying, but I'm vibing you. You're not cool at the moment, so I'm just here with you.
Right.
Kind of
So we
moment.
just perfectly described a cat.
Like Squishy is my ooze cat.
Less chaotic.
Like,
Less
this thing has been
chaotic.
This thing
than
has
a
been on
cat.
my lap almost this entire time, and he's just vibing. No idea what's going on.
Eventually, when you go to rest, you take it and it follows you. You get comfortable for the night, and with the sounds of loud music, deep bass, and rumbling
Bass.
bass.
Okay. I just conjured the image of a very deep fish. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh God! With the sounds of the bass, you eventually manage a good rest, and you'll notice.
Oh boy, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the nightmare hallway again.
You arrive to your room, and you realize you put some of the things back in place, but there's some things that from last time you left around are still tossed. Kind of a bit of a reminder of what happened and what you have in your hand now. And you enter, close the door, settle yourself. Still thinking of algae. And you go to your bathroom to clean yourself, kind of arrange a bit your beard, your hair, get yourself in some night robes.
Does he put the curlers in his hair?
He puts the curlers in his beard.
Obviously puts the curlers in his penis.
Combs the
antenna.
nice oils in.
Oh, shit,
He
we've got a
brings it.
costume change on screen.
Yeah, I just needed to
Nice!
grab my kimono real quick. I'm sorry, I came unprepared.
Julie did like a
You
costume
put your
change,
your
just shovel
robes
back.
on. Put your robes on, like you're tending like yourself, like kind of like putting a bit of also your mask. And as you're doing that too, there's also the feel of like putting it around, and as you're doing it, there's the moments you feel the burnt tissue, the scarring, and that in a way, though it doesn't feel that it should be in danger of infection, definitely doesn't feel healed, and that kind of reminder of your in between state. You're not here alive fully, but you are not in the beyond, whatever it
Mhm.
might be. Then eventually you get to your room, turn the lights off. Question: would Noloris be a mask person?
Oh, I want to
Is Ray
say
a mask person?
yes, because I don't know, he strikes me as someone who just likes to make his life more difficult. So yeah, he definitely has a little sleep mask that he puts on.
I can see Melodius waking up in the middle of the night and ripping that thing off his face in a tizzy.
In a tizzy.
Just in a tizzy, face with the cold cream on it and everything.
He does have tizzy energy for sure.
Yes.
So yeah, you put your mask on, lay to bed. You kind of do that kind of um sleeping beauty sleeping pose of like
Absolutely.
straight, yeah, the hands here.
This post is
The
gonna last
hands.
5 minutes and then I'm gonna lose it. 'Cause I'm gonna fall asleep.
He definitely plays like soft ambient noise when he sleeps. This man is a princess.
Yeah, there's a bit of classical music, and
He's somebody's princess.
as you are resting, sleeping, it changes the song to a different one that sounds familiar. It's not because you have heard it before in your when you've been going to sleep. You found that you have a extensive repertoire of different types of music, but as you're listening to it, vibing, um, best way to describe it would be this string classical music, not the string in terms of guitar, but more like a harp like sound. Um, and for a moment, you feel you have to open your eyes, and as you open them, you feel hot, kind of a bit of humid feel into it. Your eyes are not blocked, but instead you are met with a almost bracing light that you have to blink a couple of times to adjust. Um, you feel your skin kind of that humidity in the air, um, and as you finally finish looking around, you see the sun just hitting you right on top. The air feels fresh, though again that has that hotness of it, kind of a between a tropical and Mediterranean kind of temperature and humidity. And as you're looking around, you see buildings of this like clay brown colors, kind of pre-Renaissance construction of like blocky, but you can see the arches in the tops of it, white doors that would lead into it, white windows in some of the bigger ones. You see some palisades in some of those. Um, Probably a kind of watchtower-esque palisades in some of these buildings, but a mix of adornment and actual functionality. Though it doesn't seem like a castle at all. And in a bit in the skyline above those buildings, you also see towering skyscrapers of metal and glass with elements of spiral-esque structures imitating jungle-esque oceanic ideas into them. It's a mix of what seemed like old, but also very modern and innovative mix. And as you're looking around, um, you hear a voice, masculine, a bit kind of deep, not in terms of like very growly voice, but deep as someone of older age. Ah, Nolorius, my son, come over here, join us.
Is this my
Papa?
son as in my child, or is this my son as in, religious figure, my son?
The voice feels I do not know how to describe it. Violently familiar in the way that it hits you immediately, and it's like you recognize who it is, even if you don't have the words
Disappears.
for it. And as you turn around to see who it is, you see three humanoid figures, La Junta, very well dressed, almost noble-like, with colors and the attires, and some parts of their attires seem to be, not too overly lavish, but they have enough indications of higher status. The figure that you identify that could have been the one that spoke has a bit of a little ornate, old design esque like cane, and as you are almost begin to take your first step, trying to identify who of them spoke, though you kind of have an idea. What strikes you and immediately freezes your your blood is that all three of them have no face, but a single void out of it. The humidity goes away. The sky turns from this beautiful blue to pale to gray. You hear rumbling sounds as the structures begin to not get overgrown, but the best way to describe it is erode, decay, as the figure in the middle takes one step forward. The voice comes again, but corrupted in a way. My son, come to me. And as it extends his hand, you are dragged into the darkness of his face. You jump out of your bed, feeling suffocating, feeling the lack of air. You grab the mask and toss it to the side as you open your eyes and you just see blackness. And as you do that, you see the dimness of your room again.
No,
And
that's dramatic.
all the group you have made for that night vanished as you begin frantically turning every light on of your room.
Yeah, God, that's scary. That's really upsetting. Oh,
You know, darkness in my nightmares usually means I'm dead.
okay.
I don't remember my nightmares.
I mean, if you think about it, Noel already died once.
Yeah.
I have no words of wisdom for you. I don't remember when I have a nightmare. I just find the aftermath the next morning.
Oh.
So my last nightmare, I beat the brain demons by starting to sing Baby Shark.
You know what? I would believe that would kill a bunch of brain demons.
That
Absolutely.
that kills brains.
I woke up and I looked around my room and I was like, yes, I had this sense of accomplishment.
I
Alright, let's not derail too much.
I broke a
Sorry.
shelf.
No, what you doing?
Well, actually, to help get us back on track and maybe give Ray a bit of time to think about what Noel will be doing. We do have an ad break coming up here, so why don't we take a break here? We'll come back to continue our story, but before we head out, I do ask that you let the ads run. They're important to us at World Witch RP. They help keep our games affordable. If you want to directly support us, you can always do so through my Ko-fi. Link for that is on screen and in our chat room. Donations unlock awesome, cool things for our players throughout the next month. Full list is available in our Discord, so hang around. We'll see you guys very soon. And we're back.
Correct. So, Melodious, after you woken up,
Awakened?
you awaken you. After you got up the bed, frantically turning the lights on and sitting for a moment, you grab your journal, the one that you had found that had the various notations of the past dreams, past experiences, and you go to the last page available, and you've been writing it almost in a maniacal way. What you saw, what you felt, what you saw, what you felt, saw, the experience of it. And once you stop, that's when you finish writing it down and you begin reading it. You see that the way you're writing it's in the kind of scientific way, like very explicit points. You define the feelings, like you are in a also in a behavioral way, defining things instead of just like I felt, like instead of being this poetic and dramatic way, you just writing the facts. And you're left there for a moment in the silence.
He, after writing this account of this horrifying dream he's had, you would think after dying and coming back and fighting zombies and being out in the void of space, things can't shake you anymore, but this has really unsettled him in a way that he wasn't anticipating. He shuts the journal, he sets aside his pen, and without checking to see what time it is, Null is going to grab the little, God, what are we even calling them? Hand transponders? The little
The data pad?
Data pad.
You have the communicator data pads.
He's grabbing
have
his
variations.
phone.
The phone.
And really quickly, before he can second guess himself, he's going to shoot a message to S. Are you awake right now?
So, surprising no one, S is not a very deep sleeper. So as soon as there's a notification that goes off, S is startled from whatever rest he was able to manage and sends back a yes.
Gosh, any excuse to not sleep.
Really?
Any excuse.
Right.
Null sends back, would you mind coming to my quarters?
You just get a thumbs up.
It's like 3 in the morning, and he just said to you up.
You up?
Nah, in my head it's like 4 or 5.
Yeah, probably is closer to 4 or 5. It's so funny.
So yeah, S will, he won't change from his clothes, because S doesn't really, he doesn't have, pajamas. His pajamas are sweatpants and a t-shirt. His clothes are what he sleeps in. He'll just toss on his shoes, he won't grab his gun, but he'll make sure that he has his knife just in case something happens. But yeah, he'll head over to Noel's room quickly. A few raps on the door.
Come in. It's unlocked.
As S walks in. Well, it wouldn't really matter if it was.
Sure.
I mean, your privacy matters, of course, but I've unlocked your locked door before.
Right. You know,
Is that a threat?
it just seems neighborly to let you know you don't have to hack in.
Just threaten to open his door.
Yeah. When S walks in, every single light source that's in that can be on in the room is on in the room. Like
Yeah,
all of the grow lamps, all of the overhead lights.
like S is like squinting right now, very much sensitive eyes.
And Noel's like Noel's sitting in his armchair with both of his feet on the coffee table and his knees sort of pulled up to his chest.
I won't ask the obvious of if you're okay, but is there anything I can do? Do you just want me here? Is this someone, or
I understand that this is deeply juvenile, and I'm sorry for waking you if you weren't already awake. I had a scary dream, S. I had a very I had a very unsettling dream. I'm just again I know it's silly. I'm a grown man. Would you mind? You can read. We don't have to talk or anything. I'm just a
no?
little unsettled.
Are we all about to go have a sleepover in Noel's room?
No, I'm fine. No, I'm. Do you want me to read? I could read aloud, so that way it calms the mind. If you want me to be quiet, I could be quiet. If you want to talk, I'll listen. And as he says this, he'll make his way over to the secondary armchair that's there and gets himself comfortable and
Proceeds to pass out from exhaustion over the last few weeks.
not yet. He can stay up for a few more minutes.
Pass out when it's good and dramatic. Of course.
Falls asleep face down in a book. I don't want to impose or anything, but if you were open to reading, I think that would be nice.
Sure. I'll see what you got. And with an ease of having done this a few times before with the invitation to Noel's library, S will find just any book, settle back in, and begins the process of reading out loud.
Do you want to roll for it, or do you want to decide what the story is about?
I will say that I had a really memey moment where it's just Twilight.
It's just
Wait
Twilight.
a second, I've got like 6 books around me. I'll just take a picture of a page and send it to Faye. Don't make me.
No
Let
shade.
me turn
I got
around
Lord
and
of the
see
Rings
what the
over
first
here.
title on my bookshelf I
I've
see.
got a murder book, murder novel, mystery novel.
A
I've
field
got
guide
And
to
a bunch of
insects.
Stephen King.
Faye,
I've
roll it
got-
a d20.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of mystery novels.
We've got some Star Wars there that I can see from here.
A bunch of Dungeons and Dragons books.
Oh, that's
I think I've
over
got a
here.
National Geographic and a Life magazine.
Damn it! I wanted you to roll a nat one. In my head, I had my like a chart of what would be the nat one. So as you open the book and begin on it, it is curiously enough, it is kind of a cloak and dagger story. It is in is it Castellan? Castrovellan?
Castrovalian.
Castrovellan, yeah.
I can speak
There's
that.
elements. Yeah, you open it and you immediately recognize the language, and it's like, huh. So you begin reading about it,
Is
and
it about a Minotaur, a Drow, and a... Sorry.
no,
I made him
No.
lose his train of thought for a second. I'm sorry.
no. Then goes.
Space
Titania.
I know what they're doing.
So, as it is about this duo of Lashuntas, young Lashuntas. It's kind of a bit of a mix of uh, the Three Musketeers, a bit of Romeo and Juliet, a bit of that kind of a mix of that kind of story, more on the fact of the adventures of this duo, and as you're reading it, there's some evocation in the writing about places, which Melodious, as it's describing it, kind of clicks in your mind that the description of the buildings similar to the one from the dream, but with this, in a way, it's settling in a more peaceful, more living manner than what it left you in the aftertaste of that dream. And for a moment, piecing together what you saw into reconstructing who was speaking to you, what was the place that you saw. And the story kind of fades. For a moment, you're not even truly paying attention to S, thinking about that. Roll an intelligence. A memory will be. Okay. Though you don't have the exact name, you feel that was a place you probably grew, and kind of managed to put a face where there was a void for all those three individuals. An older Lashunta male, an older female Lashunta, both having traces of your physique. Him having an elaborate, though not as a bit thinner beard, but still elaborate in the way it's extended. Hair with a long hair, braided in some parts to have this kind of loops around the hair, but letting the rest just fall across her back, having both of them, their hair being more on the grayish side of the spectrum from their age, and the third person being some kind of an adult-looking male Lashunta, but his face kind of shifts between what you think it should and what you remember the most, which is a younger face, which kind of conflicts with the physique of this individual. Kind of putting the face of a teenager on the body of an adult. Like, that kind of dissonance.
Am I able to recall from the dream whether it was being... I know it was all a little wackadoodle, but the perspective that Noel was seeing these people from, was it as though he was like the height he is now? Or like he's like a child height? Or was there no real indication of that? I know not
They were
everyone
not
dreams
close to
different.
you. They were like, they were a bit of at a distance.
Okay.
But even from that, you didn't picture like you had to be looking slightly up. It seemed that you were kind of on the level, but you were not sure
Okay.
how tall, how short. It's just definitely was not like 10 years old, 5 years old height. It seemed more what seemed your height normal. Though again, there were no other points of reference of how tall you were compared to the other buildings, as it was kind of mere seconds of interaction.
Gotcha. Having sort of lost track of himself in this recollection, Null is just going to spit out, like, interrupting S's reading. I think I dreamed about my parents. But, like, in more of a sort of esoteric and deeply haunting way. More so than
As-
parents usually are.
Roll me a fortitude save.
Fortitude save, okay.
The rest of us dream about our parents.
Do I get to add my benefits of being constructed, or?
You add whatever it adds normal to your fortitude save as an android, as an individual.
Well, I believe it's only a. Oh no, that makes sense for what this is. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can add that. How about a natural 20?
Not that you needed it.
Fuck you. It was just to see if you were falling asleep.
Yeah,
If you had rolled below 15, Noel's words would have woken you up and be like, yeah, I was reading, but no, you were very awake and aware, just vibing at the moment, like
Anything
not
to
feeling
avoid
tired,
sleep.
just
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah,
Anything and everything.
you hear Noel's words.
You watch as he kind of places his finger between the pages, kind of closing the book. And so, your parents, huh? I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but I mean, if you're remembering something, maybe it'd be better.
I was just the location in this story sounds a bit like the place in my dream, and I know we're all sort of still putting together the pieces of what's what pasts are, and what's a memory, and what's an invention, what's a dream. I'm sure we've discussed it, of the sort of brain blasts of memory, but so reading it occurred to me that it sounded quite a bit like the location in my dream, which I think might be where I'm from. Home planet, which I'm sure I could look up whatever the name is of that, but
Well, it sounds beautiful, if the writings are any truth to it.
It was in the dream, sort of verdant forest, trees, light humidity to the air, sort of like a greenhouse. And the edifice of nearby buildings. But I was approached by 3 Lashunta, an older man and an older woman, and a third figure that's not quite sticking in my mind. And instead of their faces, they had just a void. And that was quite frightening in and of itself. But I, towards the end, was sort of pulled into the void face of the man, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, doesn't sound very scary, but it was. And there's just, enough similarities in how these figures looked and how dressed, sort of his beard, their hair. I don't know, seems a bit sinister of a way to remember. It, I think, really is that sensation of falling into something that's got me off kilter. It was.
I don't mean to presume or push, but if you would like to have some sense of an anchor, if you need it, just like a hug or something. You just need to ask.
I think that would be nice.
And S will move a little bit onto the side to make space here in the armchair that he has.
Noel very awkwardly, gets up and lifts up the little corners of his kimono and walks over and, tries to settle in as non-disruptively as possible. Very, very stiff and uncomfortable with this, but
It's alright. S will be also uncomfortable but fluid. But yeah, as Null makes himself comfortable, S will kind of adjust around Null, but still be in an area where he can grab the book and be able to read from it, should Null want that to continue.
Very slowly and awkwardly, as though he's trying not to scare a stray cat, Null leans his head against S's shoulder.
You
And he'll just
you good?
yeah, yeah. It feels silly. I know. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You've disclosed to me some truly horrifying things you have experienced and remembered, and this just feels insignificant by comparison.
It's not, but we don't need to worry about that right now.
Thank you.
Do you want me to continue reading?
If you're willing to.
And just a moment of holding the weight of those words. And S will continue to read. And at some point, that nat 20 is going to wear off.
Eventually, but as you keep reading, there's kind of the dawn on you that at the beginning of the book it mentions that the story takes place in Castravelin, and for a moment, like both of you get on that realization as there's mentions of that planet itself and its beauty. There's a point in the book that, like a good Victor Hugo book, it goes off on a tangent about about the places that the story takes place, but on a tangent that will never ever tied to the narration, and it's just an entire chapter dedicated to the fascination about the planet itself, about its flora, its fauna, its architecture, its people, and you're expecting at some point it will tie to the characters, but then S kind of stops for a moment and passes a couple more pages and realizes there's like 30 more pages of this. So you're like, okay, maybe we can pause the book for the moment here.
I think probably Null fell asleep halfway through the 30 pages of description on the trees, the river, and the lake.
If you ever read a Victor Hugo novel,
Oh.
like, they're good, but man, it just goes on a tangent. It just goes on a tangent. It's like, is this relevant?
No.
Thank you for giving me the architecture of Paris, but why?
Not
Why has
relevant,
to be
it's
so
just
many
nice
pages?
Oh,
things.
it's like The Princess Bride when they just spend like 2 hours describing something.
You ever read Tolkien?
I have.
Yeah, you ever read Tolkien?
I have read Tolkien. He's like that. But yeah, eventually both of you decide to rest a bit more comfortably. Not sure if S would go back to the room or stay at this one.
If Null is asleep on S and S is getting through 30 pages of description, he's passing out in that chair as well.
Yeah, there's a moment that both of you pass out. Lights still on, but exhausted. Eventually, morning comes, and first individual that we're gonna move toward is hey, the music slowly dies down. There's a point that the music is programmed to go the volume go down, as it's estimated that that's around the time that she falls asleep. Can be modified, but this time it didn't need any modifications. And eventually you wake up with the slight the equivalent of that beeping sound of being now in silence, but in your other senses. But it's kind of relaxing as you come into consciousness of your surroundings. And just for a moment checking, like checking the phone, see what's up, what's the hour, as you haven't been woken up by messages, at least any loud messages, or by being rolled and tossed around in your room and hitting the nightstand. You see that there seems to be some messages, a report apparently from the bridge, but for some reason you didn't hear the beeping of it.
Not for some reason. Kay knows why she didn't hear it.
Turn the shit up.
Do not disturb unless it's an emergency, and then send the AI.
Send the kid to wake me up.
Send the child.
That's how Alex gets woken up on a regular basis.
Send the boy.
Send
Send in the child.
Children. Two. Anyway.
Also the cats.
I'm gonna look over the reports. Get up, make some tea. Realize the only food I have in my small space right now is the square melon I was working on. And Kay's gonna start going toward, after reading through the reports and making sure there's nothing pressing at the bridge. Kay's gonna go find breakfast in the common area.
Okay. The report indicates that apparently some like 2 hours apparently sometime while you were working on on the melon, the team itself, the ship took no time in getting to the asteroid. Fortunately, the systems were working properly, so you didn't feel the shaking or anything of the drift engine, and the engineering team began working on the asteroid. During that time, they work marvelously, and Chief Kuma reported that they managed to get the equipment inside the asteroid working operational, as they are checking what is available. They are trying to see how far they can get, and during this time, they figured that 12 hours would be not enough to gather all the resources needed to do the operation for repair of the kind of getting the Drellark for base level of functionality.
Okay.
It won't get to not even close to being at optimal functionality, but getting weapons repair, getting all the different the sensor repair, getting
Does it have
the
a
base systems.
recommendation for how long it would take?
It said that at the pace that the team was working, you said that there's two messages. First, that it would probably take 2 weeks, but then it said that the team was working so well and they managed to get the things going so fast that his approximation would be like 1 week. It could be that they could even short out that time, but they are working very good. And partly it's not only just getting the resources. Fortunately, inside, he reports that inside the further into the tunnels of the mine, there's some areas of refining, so they can carry more of the specific things that they require instead of having to take it, refine inside the ship, and so on. But still, the process of getting enough of it, taking it to the ship, and that ferrying back and forth, kind of slows a bit the process. Then in the ship,
Right.
making sure the materials, like it's not a quick process. They could get a couple of things repaired in 12 hours, but he and
Really wants
in
a
words vehemently mentions they want a week. But at the moment, with reading and kind of, you work with people, you figure out how people write too, and you get the idea that even with that, they are not requiring like a decision to be made soon. They're still on the process of getting it done and seem to be all going. And yeah, and there's been no direct message to you in urgency. So, and as you get to the common area, you see there are various of the locales open. Some that were in disuse, not in disuse. Some of the ones that were damaged or just closed entirely are now open. People going left, around. There's there's a sense of quote unquote normality. There are some people that some of them you identify you have worked with, just very few. There's a couple faces in uh,
Is
thousands,
is the
thousands.
is the
Mhm.
bookstore on the way to breakfast, or is it like out of the way?
Uh, so looking at the map itself and just investigating, it's not that there's a specific zone of food and there's no other food in other areas. It's
Okay.
spread out, so you can find here and there. Again, this is a very big area, so the design is meant so that you can pick food at any point and then return to your area instead of having to, if you're at all the way at the back of the ship, have to go all the way to the front. So there's
Okay.
there's that.
So Kay is gonna initially leave her room to go seeking food, get distracted by the thought of books like an ADHD child, and go go to the bookstore and see if there's anybody running it or if it's been picked up more, and just try to find something to help her take her mind off of everything in the evenings if she has the time.
Yeah, you go there, and as you arrive, you see there's been the locales around. A couple have been put back up, but there's some that were just before broken and left out. They're now closed, or they're still like that. At least clean up. The
Right.
glass and things that were outside in the walking area are now kind of cleaned, but it still looks like no one has touched it a lot. Um, Maybe just gone there and picked things out of it. And the bookstore itself, um, though doesn't have some of its glass, the pieces that were broken are no longer there, so it's just open directly. Uh, and you see that there's a sign that says, uh, like digital sign that says "Be back in a minute." Inside, it looks a bit more organized. There's still bunches of books that seem to be that need to be put in their places, but um, it has been there's someone that has been attending this area.
Okay.
And as you arrive in and you look in, um, you hear someone getting behind you. Like, actually, not here. Like you sense you can actually, yeah, you have like
I have
360
blind
vision.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you immediately sense in that range as a forgot the species. Vesk individual, large, muscular, arrives, and you turn around to see Barsash arriving. But instead of having his uniform of security uniform, he has a more civilian. Still, it looks like the civilian equivalent for a Vesk attire still has military ideals into it. Um, and you see how he's arriving with a couple of books under his arm and what seems to be a drink. Just, oh, hey, hi, good morning. You came to the store too? Well,
Is it more of a library now than a store?
I guess library works, yeah, but it's my little side project. I honestly would prefer for this to be my actual job, but Come in, come in, come in. You see that
Hello,
he
library.
pushes the door and lets you in. The door stays open. But the door itself, compared to other locales, you see that it is this like push pull door that more rustic in the design, but has enough of the in the glass itself some things for digital a tactile
Like signage.
functionality. Yeah, but it still has like you have to push it and pull it compared to other doors that just approach and
Opens.
opens.
Okay.
And as you get in, there is a bit of a clean smell of, um, the smell of the leather bindings of the books. There's a bit of that wood
It's that
scent,
old book smell.
kind of.
That good
Though
old book
there,
smell.
though
Yeah.
as you're getting the smell, you're also like, is that the smell of powder?
Like what
Some
kind of
it,
like gunpowder?
yeah.
Okay.
It's my gun book.
Have you been also working in here on your
Oh no, no, no! I will not bring such tools of horrible things into here. Um, oh, the smell. I found this scent. Apparently, it's kind of a meditative scent used in Vesk Prime for some, religious and meditation. Do you like it? I find it conflicting, but also relaxing. It's just there's something about this smell. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It's
I,
different. I wasn't expecting it.
yeah, neither do I. I've been reading more about my people, and he says as he continues walking and places his um, whatever drink he has. It seems some steam coming out. It has like this, like cup, not a mug, but just like carrying cup. And it seems that just in general, we are very proactive in the industrial areas, in the scientific research, and very open about production of any sort of militaristic and combat arts, tactics, strategy, that kind of thing. But, thought maybe if I'm going to be the one tending this, might make it a bit my own. And I was surprised it has the smell of powder. It's a different powder than the ones of the weapons we've been using, so it feels a bit less, Other way, how you been? Sorry, I haven't seen you for a bit.
I've been under a lot of stress. I actually
Oh.
came because I wanted to try to find a book on, like, how to be a good manager. I'm between you and me. I think you already know, but they kind of want me to be the captain. I don't know what
Wow.
I'm doing.
The captain, wow, that's amazing. You're gonna get promoted. Wow. I mean, you are someone very empathic. You're someone very, um, um, um,
Thank you. I just, while I know I can get people on the ship to listen to me, I can't get everybody to always listen. But I'm hoping if I could find a book on, like, how to be a good manager, maybe I could learn. So maybe I don't completely mess up everything before we get back to Absalom Station. And he can see, like, she's gesturing a little bit while she talks, but she's extremely tight, and the motions are extremely rigid. The only part of her that seems to have any type of fluidity to it is the hand that has squishy on it. And squishy is like a bracelet right now.
mhm.
But it keeps changing what type of bracelet it is.
I see. As you're speaking, He goes and puts the cup and the books he's carrying on the desk, goes next to in front of you, and places both his wide, big, scaly hands on your shoulders and presses a bit, not in hurtful, but like kind of a hug without embracing you in that way. Just looks at you directly. I know you're scared. We all are. But if they're taking that decision, it's because they believe you can do it. And lately I have been finding that it's not much about if you can really do it, but just people believing you can do it. Um, I'm not good at this kind of thing. I'm gonna be straight up with you. But you are. I don't know. You just give the energy of wanting to listen, to trust in you, and like any others being around here, just probably it's not much of making people follow you, but making sure people feel good about following you. I don't know what I'm really doing at times with the weapons. I prefer not to. I'm scared of them. But I kind of gone to it and just ask someone if I need help, something like that. And, you have the other people. You've been going out, right? You could talk to them too. Maybe they can help you. And you have the bridge crew. You have the. I mean, Krelz one and Megan are a bit scary, but you have them too. And if they said you can be the captain, you have kind of the blessing of the most important people of the ship. Have the bridge. You have those crew. Who else? Like you already have it, and I can help you find a book. But if you ever feel scared, if you ever feel it's too much, don't worry. I will not get involved in any of your captain decisions. But I can listen to you. So send me a message. I'll be around. Or I can find you here. I don't know. I could take you a cup of something to your captain chair. Is there a captain chair on the bridge? I've never been on the bridge. Probably have been, but I don't remember.
At that point, Kate chuckles a little softly.
The bookstore owner's one of my favorite people.
Let's go a moment.
She pats his hands on her shoulders before he lets go, as like I get what you're saying type of like vibe, and she smiles and thank you. The group that I travel with, I'm not sure if one of them likes me very much. I get mixed vibes. One of them is terrified of me.
Oh.
And one of them, I think we're on good terms. I haven't been shot by them or had any bad conversations, so I'm gonna say that I'm on good terms with them.
Why does it always come back to who's been shot by us? It's only me!
I'm not sure I feel comfortable talking to them as much as I have allowed them to talk to me. But I am glad that you are here. I don't know why, but I am more comfortable talking to you. And I feel like I could talk to S too, but for somebody who's supposed to be really good with their words, I don't always words correctly, if that makes sense.
If
I
it
forgot where I was
helps,
going with that.
it's fine. If it helps, I also kind of feel comfortable in that manner. Listen, I don't think I know. Currently, I know you much. I was trying to think how to, say good things about you, and I was just like, this, but I cannot. But I do have that feel too, of kind of. What would be the word for it? Companionship, friendship. We were friends before. I do not know, but I trust you. You can trust me, and I'm around here, and we can look for books about management.
I don't even know if there's any of those books here.
I
It's a pretty big library or bookstore. And
yeah.
she's gonna look around.
Yeah, I was looking at the system, and it seems to be that there was also some sort of like um, paying books with other books, so the library could have some rotation in it. So maybe there's something like that. And there's also the digital section. There's a lot. At least those don't go flying around when the ship gets hit by something. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just some of those are the words are jumbled because the data banks are not fully there. But Addie's helping. God damn, Addie has been being so useful. I wonder if they need sleep. He needs sleep. She needs sleep. One day it came out asking about books about gender, and I wasn't sure what to do about that. And I was just confused. Then they said something about, oh, I found something, and disappeared before I could answer.
Wait till
I bet-
Abby pronouns and other questionings. Like a teenager in high school.
You know, I bet Addie would know where to find the books that we would be looking for. If they're still here. But
Yep.
that's for another time. Do you want to go with me to get something to eat? Have you had breakfast yet?
A little bit, but not much. Yeah, I could go for that. I'm gonna be called in my shift in a couple of hours, so I should just eat before I get stuck in the armory.
Yeah. Oh, and she's gonna start walking toward the door.
Yeah.
And wait to see if he follows or walks next to her.
He quickly goes and grabs his cup of drink he has and just adjusts the books he was carrying somewhere in that desk and goes away along with you.
I don't want to bombard you with work stuff. I just wondered, the armor that I use, do you think it could be outfitted to have like a little spot that I could keep Squishy in it where he's safe? He's really tiny.
Oh, I think yeah, no, I think it could. A question, by the way, is any of one of your guys, people from your group is Amos, right?
Yes.
The pilot. Okay. I apparently in the middle of the night the armor received some material requests for something. I need to talk with them because their requests are weird. Probably won't be with whatever armor. We need to equip something more sturdy for the things. But I'm probably gonna get back on him later. Or I let someone else in the armory do it. But yeah, something like that, like a pocket or something for Squishy. Yeah, it can be done. It can be done. It says with pretty green smile of, if a crocodile could smile in a friendly manner.
If a bug could smile in an equally friendly manner.
Did you have to tell Mom my plans?
Kate is gonna have a look of she's happy about what he said about the little spot for Squishy, but she also has like this background look of somewhat concern. And I'll find out what Mac is trying to do.
Yeah.
And get back with you. As a matter of fact, and I'm gonna pull out a data pad and I'm gonna send Mac a message. When you wake up, what are you
Mac's in
doing with
trouble.
your armor?
Max in
Question
trouble
mark,
with Mom
question
again.
mark. And yeah, then she is going to continue talking about books in the general sense and in like what genres are more fun to read for him and what she likes, and just kind of have a friendly chat with her friend
Yeah.
over breakfast.
Yeah, he follows on the conversation, and overall, after finding somewhere that sells um, food of a varied kind, for
Something
the
both of
very
us can eat and a Sheeran.
there's enough food that can be shared among the various races. There's some particular places for each one, and there's just the generic. Here is a
Here's your
burger,
here's your rations of pellets.
kind of. So yeah, you get a time relaxing, and then the hour and a half that you're taking your time to just decompress, not think about work, and actually enjoy the food. And as the ship continues with the business trying to repair, the engineering crew working extremely well. It was almost an at 20 on the roll. It was an 18, so they're going fast. And getting repairs done, switching around their shifts, and Mac passed out, starfish like in the bed, just
It's
splayed.
not even starfish. It's like halfway
Just
on the bed.
lump.
One
T-posing.
arm, one leg,
He's
fully off.
T-posing in the bed, just like bleh.
No, it's just half on, half off. He just didn't make it to the bed. It's just
And in one of the officers' rooms, there are two individuals resting head against each other on a chair in a fully illuminated room.
The
Because
book's somewhere on the ground
Yeah,
at this
the-
point, probably.
Yeah, the book fell down.
it's just gonna wake
Normal
up
stuff.
in cold rain on their jacket, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, gross."
Yeah, that's we're gonna leave tonight's episode.
All right. Well, thank you guys to all of our viewers, of course, as always, for tuning in. If you want to see more, you can follow us here. Head over to our YouTube to check all of our VODs. If you want D&D content, you can head over to the Discord. Keep up to date with all of our announcements as well. But see you guys in the next one.